Greetings, Earthlings. It's your girl Love, your favorite little hood hippie, and I'm here to give my love offering, my little 2 cents perspective into this big old grand thing we call a world that we share. Um, I usually don't do videos. I usually share my 2 cents in another way, whether it be through, short little poems I do on my Facebook or just stuff that I keep in my book or things that I have in conversation when I have in conversation with my loved ones. But, as I was sitting with spirit this morning, or as spirit was sitting with me, whichever way you want to put it, um, it just became impossible for me to like sit on this recurring message that has keep coming and keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, and understanding that it's the message is made exactly for times like these. And when I say times like these, it's like, the more I am out talking to my loved ones, my friends, and the more I am in taking this world that we live in, the more I'm realizing how intense this thing is right now. How intense, how tense, how much tension is going on around in the world. And for good reason, it's not pretend. We like to make, these and we like to say that we can just, be positive and, want to make things go away without positivity. But there are a lot of adverse things in the world that, real adverse things in the world that make people tense, and we can't pretend like those things are not present. I feel like that's part of dealing with some of the tension is really, identifying it and addressing it and calling the thing a thing instead of kind of like wish it away or like, some stuff like that, when we, that's a whole nother conversation when I think about, this whole love and light spirituality thing that's like flying around with people right now. But when I was thinking about, the tenseness that's going on in this world, the recurring theme that kept coming for me to share, with my family, with my people, with my loved ones, is just trying to myself and as well get my loved ones, people close to me, to more, to be more aware or pay more attention um, to our connectivity with one another. The connectivity that we have with each other is like so important because we are, in fact, a global community. And I don't want to give out a lot of like cliches or whatever, but really get down into, if I can, identifying what I mean when I say global community or that, we're all connected. Um, the way in which I do that, which is ironic, I have these lights, these Christmas lights on a string in my window, which you can't see right now. And in looking at that, it really became like a tool that made it easier, or I felt like could probably make it easier for me to explain when I say connectivity. When you think about Christmas lights and on a string, they're all on a cord and they're individual. They come in different colors and they light up this Christmas tree and make it beautiful, right? And so in another way or another way of putting it, we are all kind of like that same thing, like we are all individuals, but we are connected on a cord, whether we know it or are aware of it or not. We're connected on a cord that is made of, this finer essence that really can't be seen with your 2 eyes, but that doesn't mean that it's not there, and the cord that connects us um, affects how we relate to each other, which also we don't pay attention to it or we are not aware that it is there. We'll just be out here just relating to each other, however, which contributes to um, our global vibe, like our global feeling, like, how we make each other feel. And a lot of that I feel like today is being done irresponsibly, but some of that I feel like is, just from unawareness, and then some of it is just, some of it can be intentional, you know what I'm saying? But when I think about that, you know, I say that we're all on this cord. A way that I can try to, verbalize it the best I can, because it's easy to understand when you think about it from the aspect like two people. Okay, we're in a relationship, we're in a union. What we do, we affect each other. I don't even know if people recognize it on that scale, but I know that once it goes past that, it gets even more challenging to fathom. You know, there's some people who have yet to figure out how to relate to themselves, and then going on to relate to other people, and then going on to how we relate to our outer world, and how we relate to, this whole entire thing, you know. But if you think about it like this, so let's just say, for instance, there is a pharmacy in your neighborhood, a Rite Aid, and there is the manager of the pharmacy. The manager of the pharmacy, he basically, makes sure that everything runs smoothly, and he calls the shots. He makes the decision. He, makes sure the place opens and closes, this, that, and the fourth. Okay, so this manager at Rite Aid, he's not related to you. You don't know him in any kind of way, right? His name is Jeff. Let's just call him Jeff. Before Jeff came into work that morning, Jeff had like a really huge argument with his wife, and his wife pissed him off so bad, right? So, Jeff comes to work, his wife had pissed him off, he's pissed off, and now Jeff is going to make the day bad for everybody else. So then Jeff in turn pisses off his employees, and then when you come into Rite Aid as a customer and you just want to get your prescription, you will encounter a cashier who is pissed off. And she then in turn is angry with you, and you haven't done anything. Jeff did something to her, and Jeff did something to her because somebody did something to him. And at the end of it is you who just wants your prescription, and because everybody in the pharmacy is mad, that can become a problem for you. But something like a prescription could be something that is, um, impacts your life, like your quality of living, right? Um, and how you get around, how you move, your health, your strength, and everything, right? And all of that is all on one cord. Your health, your strength, everything is all on one cord. That also includes the lady at the pharmacy. It includes Jeff, and it includes Jeff's wife who pissed him off at the end of the morning, right? So that is like one of the ways in which I can try to explain to people this whole concept of like relativity and global community. Just in the context of being able to first look at it to see how then if we begin to look at things that way, if it's possible for us to even shift anything going in the other direction with that same understanding and awareness. Um, when we tell the story about Jeff, I hope that that was a way that I was able to easier make it see how, and to some degree, we're all influencing and impacting each other's lives. And with that information, understanding that we do have power of choice to be able to influence and impact differently once we are aware, which of course comes with practice. Everything comes with practice. First with intention, but then with practice. But really coming to that understanding, really seeing it, how that then in turns how we begin to move as individuals in this world that we all share. And I say this world that we all share, we are in this place right now, where everybody is like, I'm so independent. Like I hear so many things about independent, people needing attention, all of that kind of stuff, right? And for a certain that what I would want to have people to see if they could take a look at is the understanding that if you really look at it, there isn't anything, not a person, place, anything, that is completely what you call independent. That means stands alone and it functions separate from anything else, right? I would love for somebody to identify for me something in this planet that was made independently, right? In its true essence, which means alone. Um, but more so seeing if we can strive towards an interdependence, because we're all, like I keep saying, on this planet together. We have this like theme of like separateness, but we're not separate. I would rather replace that word with the understanding that we are a fractured whole, right? Fractured and separate, they like are similar, but they're not actually the same. There is no such thing as separate, like off to yourself, and you don't impact anything else and nothing else impacts you. You are part of a bigger whole, and it's just been fractured. about us being a part of a fractured whole, um, the idea that um, ultimately is to reunite that. You know, there is more power and connectivity in something being, you know, more power in something being connected than it is in it being fractured when that connectivity is healthy. Which leads me to, you know, the fact that we all are on this same chord, but not all of us, you know, are healthy or, you know, productive, or not all of us are helpful to this chord, right? And that's again, some of us with awareness, some of us not. But like it's the same with the Christmas lights. If you have the Christmas lights, they're all on, and you may have one that is off, right? Of the light of the cord. That doesn't make the rest of the string not work. You can replace the bulb, you can try to twist it or whatever the case may be in order to get that light back in a flow of color and beauty, you know. And so when we understand it that way, um, in this world that is so tense, I feel like one of the very first suggestions I would start with, of course, is, you know, looking at how we relate to ourselves, to like not be so tense, to calm down and to de-stress. Because, you know, we're all a part of it. Like, you know, I look at it to, and I can take it to the work that I do with kids, you know, and a lot of that comes from, a lot of this comes from the work that I do with kids, because it's very important to me that these kids have a different space than we had, if we can make it different, you know. But a lot of the kids, when I talk to them, a lot of the things I hear on repeat. My mother's mad all the time, or my mother's sad all the time, or whatever the case may be, right? And I feel like, you know, that's another thing that we're unawareness, we don't really realize we are doing, that our little people are picking up on us because they're connected to our cords, right? And that's biologically, if it's a baby that you gave birth to, they're connected to you on your cord, one that you can actually see, which should make it, well, you know, which should make it easier versus that global one that I was talking about before. But I hear, you know, a lot of kids, it's like, you know, my mom always mad, my mom always sad. And these kids respond to that. It like lives in them some way. I see it. They come to school, they sad, they mad, they anxious, they nervous, they worrying about you, you know. All things that as kids, you know, they really shouldn't have to ingest yet. But because their parent is a host of emotions, and their parent gives off, you know, either a lot of anger or a lot of sadness or whatever, you know, these kids pick that up. So like, you know, one of the main things we can do to start out with is really taking a look at ourselves, right? Ourselves, that's all I'm saying. But taking a look at ourselves and really look at how we are functioning in our being, how we are functioning in our families, how we are functioning in our workspace, how we are functioning in the world. You know, it's all scalable, you know, but starting small, right? You gotta start small, but starting with yourself, you know. Um, and really, you know, getting into that, especially as we are in this place where we're more closed in because the corona is about to get cold outside, and that's usually, you know, when a lot of people do with this thing called wintering. They say a lot of people get depressed in the winter time, and that's related to something else too. That's a whole other video if you ask me. But you know, at a time like this when people are stuck in, you know, people are wintering, the holidays are coming, which, you know, for some people, the holidays are up and down. Some people, it's like the best thing they ever saw. Other people, they can't stand to see the holidays coming. But either way, you know, this is a time when a lot of people usually, because they are so isolated, they either, you know, get really sad or they get really mad or whatever the case may be, right? You know, just using this opportunity, if we can, of like solace, because we have all these things going on, to really reevaluate um, how we showing up in our space, you know, and all the pieces that it takes to be able to do that. So therefore we can have ourselves show up differently for our kids, and have ourselves show up differently. We always talk about, you know, be the change you want to see. I hear all these cliches, but a person like me, I need to know what that means, you know. And I'm sure there's other people in the world like me who hear this stuff all the time and going one end out the other, you know, like nothing's in the middle, but something is in the middle. It's called the brain. That's a whole other thing. But it going one end out the other, you know what I'm saying? And I really just wanted to see if I could put it in a way that was more palpable, put it in a way that was easier to ingest, to comprehend, to understand, because I feel like those things are necessary to create any kind of change. Like you can tell somebody all day long, if they don't understand what you're saying, they're going to keep it moving. But if you can make it in a way that a person can comprehend, it makes it easier for them to, adjust accordingly wherever they feel like they to, because feel like they need to adjust, because everybody is individual. I can't say, that's another thing about the spiritual transformation or the stuff that I keep hearing. I can't say that it's supposed to look a certain type of way. But all I can do is, like I said, offer my 2 cents and give my love offering to what I feel like might assist. Because that's the only thing I want to do. Like I say all the time, if I'm showing up to a place and if I can't help the situation, I'm not gonna show up. And so I just want to be able to assist, and hoping that my perspective, or the little my little 2 cents, the way the world looks from outside my window, can help somebody else. That is walking through this place, sometimes dazed and confused, fam. I feel like, we be dazed and confused. Well, me, I'm gonna just speak for me. There's been a lot of times in life that I feel like I've been walking around dazed and confused on what is this, but just hoping that, that can help in some type of way to be able to calm some of the temperature down, you know, deal with some of this tension that we got going on. The politics making the tension, crazy. And just not let it drive us into a tizzy, for lack of a better term. But see if we can, get a grip on it and do something else with it other than that for a change. I don't know how helpful this information was to anybody. It was surely helpful for me to get it all finally, just because, it's been on me for quite some time. And I hope that it can help. That's all I can do. Pray for help. I intend for it to help. That's what it is. I intend for it to help. I love you. Till next time.